Japan's top 10 craziest discoveries. Welcome to Peak's World. Today, we'll take you through Japan's top 10 craziest discoveries. Local hot springs where men and women bathe together, yet entering them requires being completely unclothed. And certain special professions attract countless men from around the world, generating over $70 billion for Japan annually. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on future excitement. 10. Japan's Yakuza. Across the globe, many are familiar with Italy's mafia, America's gangs, and Japan's Yamaguchi-gumi. These are widely recognized criminal organizations. Despite economic development leading many such organizations to fade from view, in Japan, the Yakuza culture has long been deeply ingrained in the societal fabric and operates under a legal guise. Why is this? The roots of Yakuza culture trace back to Japan's feudal era. Samurai, deeply committed to the code of Bushido, served their lords and were akin to the enforcers of their families. Following World War II, traditional social structures collapsed. American-led reforms triggered economic and societal transformations in Japan. As the economy recovered, cultural revivals emerged, including a resurgence of Yakuza culture. Many gathered to seize ports and territories, collect protection fees, and rely on violence as a means of livelihood. After amassing wealth, these criminal organizations also forged alliances with political figures, becoming part of the political capital. Today, Japan's political and police circles intertwined with the Yakuza, presenting a unique tableau in Japanese society. 9. Japan's unique otaku culture. In Japan, otaku culture is the most developed in the world. But what is otaku culture? It's a completely virtual culture constructed primarily around anime, games, and novels, detached from reality and existing independently in another dimension. Japan's otaku culture can be traced back to late 19th century Europe, where a large number of anime works and the manga industry were introduced through war to Japan, taking root and sprouting in this soil. Since the Meiji Restoration period, Japan has produced numerous manga artists who have created many outstanding works such as Crayon Shin-chan and Astro Boy. This otaku culture has captivated Japan, driving its industrial development. However, it has also brought another danger: otaku men becoming obsessed with the otaku world, leading not only to a series of mental issues, but also an inability to fully distinguish between the real world and the virtual world. This has labeled such groups with terms like creepy and erotic, triggering illegal activities such as subway voyeurism and harassment of women. 8. Japan's unique professions. Due to Japan's different economic and social structure, many unique professions have emerged that can be considered quite unusual, unlike any other found globally. Firstly, there is the profession of subway pusher in Japan. Public transportation in Japan is extremely busy, where weekday passenger traffic can reach up to 11 million people. This has led to many passengers being unable to board the subway during rush hours. The primary role of subway pushers is to push passengers into the train cars to ensure that the doors can fully close. Don't underestimate this profession. Their income is very high. Secondly, there is the profession of bondage artist. Within Japanese culture, there exists a bondage culture where women are tied up using ropes to emphasize their breasts, buttocks, and other physical features. This unique form of art, known as kinbaku, has its roots in ancient Japan and is performed under the condition of not harming the model. There are even websites in Japan dedicated to reporting on this technique, catering to the unusual desires of some Japanese individuals. Lastly, there is the profession of sleeping companion. Influenced by Japan's otaku culture, many Japanese men spend their days indoors and have a particular desire for young and cute girls. In such a market environment, the profession of a sleeping companion has emerged. These cute girls can visit your home to provide intimate services, allowing you to experience the pleasure of having a young girlfriend. This profession is quite chaotic, and can be seen as another form of in-home transaction. As long as you pay enough money, you can touch whatever part of their body you desire, whether it's their thighs or chest, and even engage in deeper interactions. Number 7. Perverted diet form Nyotai Mori. This dining style can be said to have originated in Japan. It is also a very special way of eating. It is to use completely naked women as tableware to hold dishes. In order to cater to the development of this profession, even specific restaurants and geishas have been born. These geishas have very strict requirements. Not only do they require a particularly delicate appearance, but they also require their figures to be particularly standard. Simply put, they must have big breasts and a slender figure, and they cannot be too fat or too thin. All practitioners must have type A blood. In Japanese culture, people with this blood type are believed to have a relatively peaceful personality and are very patient. At the same time, it is also required that these women must be virgins and cannot have any sexual relations with men. It is believed that such women are innocent and pure. This way of eating is very expensive in Japan. The price of each meal is as low as 600,000 yen, and the most expensive is more than 1 million yen. Before serving the food, a series of preparations must be carried out. These geishas must completely take off their clothes, have their bodies cleaned by professionals, shave off their body hair and dead skin, and then lie on the table completely, posing in a specific posture, and using leaves or petals to cover their private parts. According to regulations during the meal, you cannot touch these geishas with your hands, but there are some. The restaurant does not make specific requirements, and these diners will use tableware to satisfy their perverted requirements of peeping at their bodies. Number 6. High rate of female infidelity. Japan once conducted a social survey, and the results showed that the rate of infidelity among married women in Japan was as high as more than 50%. Many Japanese men are aware of this and even pray for women to return to their families. Why is this? Such behavior in Japan can be seen from a Japanese drama, Hirugao. The male protagonist in the drama has been working overtime in the company for a long time and has little time to go home. His lover is alone in the empty room, emotionally empty, and needs both physical and spiritual companionship. In addition, more than 30% of women in Japan are full-time wives, so this leads to a relatively high rate of infidelity. This is also reflected in many Japanese porn movies, where women offer their bodies to neighbors or other men, mainly to satisfy their own physical desires. In addition to the fact that Japanese men work overtime more frequently, another major reason is that the cheating rate of Japanese men is higher than that of women, as high as 63.8%. Number 5. Mixed bathing. In Japan, all kinds of hot spring bathhouses have such a rule. That is, mixed bathing for men and women entering the bathhouse must be completely naked, and they can even touch each other in the bathhouse. In around 400 AD, Japan began to popularize mixed bathing culture for men and women across the country, and a large number of bathhouses were specially built for this purpose. Some bathhouses that are particularly popular with the audience even have special entertainment venues where naked beauties provide you with special services, even special care for private parts. This has led to frequent sexual assaults or indecent incidents in Japanese bathhouses where men and women bathe together. Some men will use the excuse of taking a hot spring bath to pick some lonely women and rape them, and some couples will have in-depth exchanges while taking a hot spring bath. For this reason, Japan also issued an order in the 1980s to ban mixed bathing for men and women, but this order was completely abolished within 2 years. Since then, this kind of bath has become more popular. In many cartoons, fathers and their daughters can often be seen bathing together. Even in adulthood, daughters will bathe with their brothers and fathers. In Japanese culture, this is also a very normal thing, which is why some Japanese love action movies have intimate scenes between fathers and daughters. Number 4. Legal gambling industry. There are all kinds of colorful shops on the streets of Japan, and their decorations are very eye-catching. This is an industry that contributes a lot of tax revenue in Japan, once accounting for 6% of the country's GDP. It is the Japanese pachinko gambling shop. This type of pinball machine game was first introduced to Japan from the West. After taking root in Japan, it continued to develop and met the needs of the Japanese. This game is very short, and it will give people a lot of positive feedback in just a few seconds. A marble costs only 4 yen, which is equivalent to 20 cents in RMB. In order to better conceal the truth, this type of gambling machine store is also packaged. After receiving the reward, these customers get some physical prizes, such as daily necessities, toiletries, etc. If they need them, they can take these supplies home for their own use. If they don't need them, they can exchange these goods for designated cash in another store, which is equivalent to winning economic returns in disguise. Number 3. Japan's demasculinization. During the 1970s and 1980s, Japanese male film stars were often portrayed as tall, handsome, and strong, so-called tough guys. However, after this period, the image and culture of the tough guy gradually declined in Japan, replaced by a more androgynous and delicate, effeminate culture. The prevalence of this culture in Japan can be attributed to American influence. After World War II, the United States began to intervene in Japan's entertainment industry. To prevent the resurgence of the samurai spirit that could potentially lead to war, the U.S. encouraged and promoted the demasculinization of Japanese society through media and aesthetics. Today, over 2 million Japanese youths join these entertainment circles annually, training to adopt a similarly delicate appearance. This trend has led to a diminished sense of traditional male gender identity in Japan, with increasing incidents of male-on-male sexual assault indirectly fueling Japan's underground entertainment industry. Number 2. Legal sex industry. After the Meiji Restoration in Japan, a new industry emerged: prostitution. The term Japanese prostitute social interaction even came into use. To please General MacArthur, the Emperor of Japan chose the country's most dazzling female stars to provide intimate services. This practice can be traced back to the 1870s, when the Japanese government issued the Prostitution Regulation Act, leading to the widespread establishment of brothels nationwide. Sexual culture became a well-known aspect of Japanese culture, particularly after World War II. To accommodate a large number of American troops stationed in Japan, the government selected a group of young and beautiful women to work in these brothels, providing physical satisfaction to American soldiers. This period also saw a significant genetic impact on the Japanese population, with many children born without fathers. As time progressed, this industry became an essential part of Japan's national economy. However, this has led to rampant chaos within the industry. It has fostered a series of negative and erroneous behaviors, causing Japan's crime rate to rise exponentially. Number 1. Japanese porn industry. Among all Japanese industries, the most competitive is the pornography industry, accounting for over 1% of the GDP with an annual output of $70 billion. More than 3,000 individuals apply to work in this industry every year. Currently, there are at least 150,000 female workers in this industry, meaning that 1 out of every 200 adult women in Japan is an AV actress, showcasing the industry's vast scale. After the 1980s, these film companies established a comprehensive and standardized video production chain using camcorder technology. These workers receive substantial compensation for filming, making it a more attractive option than a regular office job. This allure has drawn many young and beautiful women to the industry. However, this has led to rampant chaos within the industry. It has fostered a series of negative and erroneous behaviors, causing Japan's crime rate to rise exponentially. Some individuals in the industry have even used it as a cover to commit crimes against women, subjecting them to extreme humiliation and abuse.